So this is the first video in a series for real estate attorneys who refer clients to listing agents. I'm going to explain that listing agents are no longer competent to sell homes without an attorney. They have to be on the deal. Otherwise, they're breaching their fiduciary duty every time when you look at the forms and the process the California Association of Realtors have instituted. At the moment, though, in this very short video, hopefully short, we're going to show really one of the biggest issues, and that's every time a seller is allowed by a listing agent to offer buyer agent compensation, the seller is being put at risk of violating dictates the DOJ explain, such as steering, breach of fiduciary duty, or commission fixing. We're going to focus on steering in this video, and we're going to explain that Google AI said there would be about 190,000 home sales in California, in which virtually all of them paid buyer agent commission since January 1st and August 2025. And I think at the end of this series of videos, you'll see that on every one of those transactions, if there wasn't a lawyer involved, the listing agent held themselves out to do something they couldn't. And when the transaction started, the seller was just selling their home. They agreed to pay the listing agent 1%, 2%, 3%, and they said, sell my home. There was no liability yet. But when the listing agent kept quiet and didn't explain that they're not licensed to negotiate or advise on buyer agent compensation, that there's very large risks when offering it, and they need to talk to an attorney, and they need to mitigate those risks. When the seller, listing agents, just passively allowed this to happen, they not only violated their duty of being a good salesperson, saying, hey, we should consider all these other options. Unfortunately, I don't have the language, I don't have the forms to do them, but you should do them because you should put some leverage. You should bifurcate this process, put some leverage on the buyer's agent to make them work to get this done closer to your terms rather than the buyer. They didn't say any of that because they can't. And consequently, they walked the seller into having exposure to liability probably for the next 4 years that they didn't have when they started the listing. Now, I'm not going to say that liability is going to turn into lawsuits, but I think when you see the end of my presentations today, you're going to be like, holy cow, I can't believe it. I can no longer refer my clients to a listing agent who's not an attorney, who's not a broker attorney, or I need to get more involved. And because I'm now more involved, instead of just getting paid $2,000 on the closing documents, I'm going to be looking for $6,000 or $10,000. Or if I'm really going to take this seriously, and I have a lot of clients, I'm going to make sure that my clients are getting protected, and that to do the work required, I'm going to make sure I get 50% of those listing agent commissions. And hence, when you walk all the way through it, you'll wish you got my URL, listing attorney and listingattorneys.com. But instead, I'm going to find ways for you all over time. I just recently put this together to have every attorney who wants to work on real estate be part of listingattorney.com. But now to the presentation for today, which is steering. In fact, let me just stop that. That's going to be my intro. I'll be back to steering in a second, and why it's illegal. And then in another video, we talk about what realtors can do about it, listing agents can do about it, listing attorneys. Sorry.